Hey everybody, it's ProbablyRed. So today we're going to finish out the forge. We started on the beginner video, kind of introducing you to all the different parts of Eternal. And then real quick before we jump into that, I just want to show you a couple things that I didn't touch on as far as the interface here. This is quests. So as you play, you'll build up to 3 quests, and then in the very beginning of the game, you're going to have these special quests that will unlock decks that are really good to supplement your collection. They're pretty nice to have. They really give you a good boost there. In addition to the tutorial decks, you just have to play. I think it's combinations of the cards that it requires. Like, say for example, they mention Time and Primal Elysian. That might be one of the missions, and then you get the deck for playing those factions. But once you complete that, there's there's 3 different types of quests you can get. You can get promo quests, which I think it's about once a month. Sometimes they do more on special months, um, where you can unlock a copy of a card by playing matches. Then you have your gold and silver quests. Gold quests give you gold chests. They tend to be a little bit more complicated, or well, not complicated, a little bit more difficult to complete. And then you got your double silver chest quests, which are your silver quests, and they have usually an easier to complete requirement. You'll usually complete them automatically, but if you don't, go ahead and build your decks, or pick a deck that is more focused to complete it because you want to get them completed. Also, every day you'll get it doesn't show here, but there's a little rotation symbol here, where you can click it and it's like a blue little rotation symbol. I should have waited to have it up here so I could have clicked it. But it'll reset your well, when you click it, it'll reset your quest, and there's a chance that it'll turn into gold. So you want to have gold quests because, in my opinion, they are better value. I prefer the gold quest because it's the same amount of gold, but you also get a pack. And a chance to upgrade into a higher chance. I think it's a higher chance, yeah. Yeah, it's a higher chance, definitely a higher chance, yeah, now I think about it, to upgrade into a diamond, which gives you a big chunk of gold, and a booster. And that could really be super helpful. Also, every first one of the day in Throne or Expedition mode earns you your free booster pack of the latest set. I think I mentioned that last time. Um, and what else did I forget? I think that was pretty much the only thing I didn't mention. Maybe some options. So we'll go into options real quick. You know, you got your different tabs. Fact, answer, question. I think that opens a new tab. I don't know what that button does. Okay. Whoa. Yeah, hopefully, I have no idea what that does. Okay, so settings, this is what I do. Just, pick your graphics and resolution depending on what computer you're running it on. Volume, I like to have the master volume generally lower. And then this is for recording too, because the game can be very loud while recording. A lot of games are just the way it is. You can change your clock to 24 hours. This isn't really the options that you really are looking for. When you're looking for options, you're looking for gameplay. And I said last time, advanced deck building is important. Auto snap your targeting arrow. The targeting arrow on the plate will auto snap to targets. I don't even know what that means. I think that might be a new thing. I think it, like, instead of like having this like this, it'll just go. I don't know what that entails. I might have to try that sometime, but not today. So disabling totem interactions just makes it so your opponent can't like mess with your totem and you see it. Like, they can mess with it and they'll see it, but you can't see when they interact with totems. So sometimes people like click the torches on your thing a lot and it'll drive you nuts and you'll just be like, oh my gosh. Screen shake, I don't really know what that does. I think it like is a special effect where it kind of like goes like this. So I think that's cool. Smart auto pass. Now this really takes a lot. Well, it doesn't take a lot. It takes a little bit away from your options. and it makes your opponent know when you don't have anything, like automatically, instead of having to watch for certain things. I always keep this off. Hotkeys. So hotkeys are, as far as I know, the only hotkeys are, well, there's three. There's three. I think the R button like rewinds it a little bit, so you can see what just happened. And then you got the A key, which means it selects all your attackable, or all your units that are able to attack. They all get selected for attack. And you click spacebar to actually go through with an action, like attack, end turn, that sort of thing. So be careful with the spacebar if you're not ready to click it. Spectator mode allows your friends to spectate your game. So say somebody, you friended somebody who you like their content and something, you want to see what deck they're playing or what they're doing, you can go to your friends list and watch them if they have spectator mode enabled. Of course, they probably also would like you to go watch them on Steam or YouTube or whatever, but if you don't want to do that at that moment, they aren't going to get mad at it. They have spectator mode available, so yeah, I mean, enable expanded deck categories. What does that even mean? Orders expanded deck view, draft and forge cards by type. I'm not really sure what this does. I'd have to look into that one. Okay, so the glossary, this is just going to tell you, like, what is an attachment? What's a fastball? This could actually be pretty useful. There's a bunch of different terms in this game, but a lot of them, when you highlight a card, it'll have a little sub-description, so you'll learn them as you go. But this might be fun to kind of explore if you're a little bit new to the game, like, what could this be? What could this be? What's lifesteal? See, I don't even, see, like, it's pretty cool. I like that they have this. Glossaries can be fun. There's feedback. So I've submitted a bit of feedback, usually positive, but not recently. Mostly I've been pretty happy, or I'll just do it on Reddit, basically, because they're pretty active on Reddit too. But it's always good to send them, because there's all kinds of feedback. You could report a bug that you're seeing, if there's a specific card you don't like, if there's just in general, like, hey, I love your game. If you have a suggestion like, oh, wouldn't it be cool if this or that or the other, you know, and then you type your email so they can email you in response if you have a question or something, and then you send your feedback, or if you have a bug that you're reporting and they want to ask you more details. So that's the feedback thing. I don't really know what privacy means. Oh, crap. No, I don't want to do that. Streaming, this is a streaming tool. You can enable it if you're streaming live, which I do not currently. And I think that's enough options right now. Okay, so two things I'm going to do in this video. I'm going to keep it pretty simple. I'm going to run through the rest of that forge I started last time, 6 games of that, and then I think I'm just going to open all these booster packs, and I'll give a little bit of thorough discussion so you kind of get an idea of where I sit with boosters, and I'll try to talk about it in more of like a, I guess, beginner-centric view, because this is part of a beginner video. But let's jump into this forge again. I'm pretty satisfied with this forge deck. It is totally not my usual playstyle, but I mean, if I play it like that and it has the strengths of combat, like where it can play like that, then we're good to go. Okay, so we're up against Chill and Touch. Interesting. Okay. I like Valiant Leap, it's pretty good. Little combat trick. Unbreakable Tradition's okay. I think we were good because we can. I think we'll turn the Unbreakable Tradition into a Justice Sigil. That's something to keep in mind. Is when you're plundering, your card will turn into the sigil of its faction, and it's equally random chance. If you have a 2-faction card, like let's say you had a card that's Primal Injustice, it's an equal chance that it could turn into a Primal Sigil or Justice Sigil. It's random. So we're trying to get to this promising pupil, get it out, and swing in. Maybe with a Mantle of Justice. So we're going to try to build up our Justice as much as possible to make this a decent weapon. Okay. So this is not as effective because they don't have flyers, but it still has double damage. So if we can equip that with a mantle, that's going to be pretty gnarly. Let's do that. I mean, they could just straight up kill our thing because they're in shadow. 1 damage, it's going to go face. Okay. We're not going to... Wait, we have double justice? No. Okay, so they just boosted the unit. Ah, we took a pretty big chunk of damage, but we're gonna react with a good chunk of damage too. This is a pretty aggressive start for Huru. Huru can have a little like combo damage action, but I think that's mostly on Justice's part in this match. So there's 10. Wow. That was effective. Now they might just spot remove it, just bloop, get it off the field. But I think we got a little bit of damage in there, so I'm cool with that. So 5, 6, 7, we can do 14 damage. That sounds pretty good. I really hope they don't just spot remove this, like, at fast speed. Okay, so they stunned it. Not as bad. Definitely not as bad, but hey. I guess we'll take the damage. Hopefully they don't have a good answer. Okay, so plop this Jade Horn down, start with Silverwing. We'll swing in to get that Exalted, or that Mastery going. What did we get? Warcry? Okay, it's a bit late in the game for Warcry. You want your Warcry to come out as soon as possible. So that like you're getting those bonuses throughout the game and getting a decently sized unit. So in this case, we'll let them get rid of our stuff if they want to, because we're trying to apply pressure. And we're getting some pretty okay trades here. And the Warcry trades can still have an effect because they're at 13 or 15. Like there's still a bit of game left potentially. Now they play a flyer, we have that curse we can apply. Should be nice. Ooh, scheme. So they get to pick out of the several top cards of their deck. Oh, hey, I like that. Let's give this flying because it's our biggest unit. I guess we give this flying too. And then we can go ahead and just ping them for 1, skip. And then dismiss. Got there. I don't think it's lethal. Pretty close though. There you go. That doesn't do anything because they don't have flyers, but it was gonna die anyways. So they're at 2 health. We do have a bit of lifesteal. No cards in hand though, so that's it. We even had a soft removal spell in the Minotaur Duelist. Let's jump into the next game. I'm really liking how this deck's going. It's fast paced, like it is very, very fun. Our main focus. Ooh, okay, so I don't like this hand very much though. I saw triple justice and I was like, I can't do that. Okay, this is better. We are gonna have to go ahead. Just well, we have this. We can get to 4 pretty easily. We could plunder away the duelist. Yeah, we could definitely. We're gonna keep that, not pledge it. We're gonna plunder away the duelist. We have another duelist in here, anyways. And plenty of 5-drops, an excess amount of 5-drops. So this is gonna plunder. I don't really like this card that much. We probably will get a bit flooded, but let's kill that Humbug by attacking in. They're very tempted to do that block, and I'm okay with that. Now we can silence all kinds of stuff if they decide to block. It doesn't work against Bold Adventure at all, unfortunately. So now we're trying to build up that Justice for a Mantle. This is perfect against Bold Adventure, on the other hand. It did. Well, at least we get the war cry. And we do have that mantle now. Question is, what do we could make this a bigger threat. And we could do this so that they can't block. But I think this is a fine idea, because this will get stronger and stronger, and it kind of mitigates our, how do you say that? It mitigates our strength to 2 different units, so that if they do have some sort of removal, I should probably save that so I can turn it into a draw, but that's okay. If they do have some sort of, they could probably double block this, which I'd be fine with. I get that, and then I kill this with the Nightwatch Broadsword. Yeah, damage is first, and the rest of the damage should go to that. Okay, good. Got 5 damage in. We have this, so that if we do draw a sigil, we can get a double attack in if they don't have a blocker. Or we could kill that and attack their face. Just 1 sigil. Yeah, that's unfortunate. Honestly, let's plunder this. So they got a backup weapon. Next turn we'll use this to ping. Well, oh yeah, it's on. I like that it also gives us a bit of armor. I think it gives us armor, right? Yeah, gives us a bunch of armor. So it gave us 1 because the unit died, and then 3 of because of the effect. Kind of made our own Star Steel Dice Show right there. That's a card that can attack twice by its, like, it automatically has that effect. Pseudo Dice Show. Oh, okay. Oh, +3/+3, huh? Okay. Well, it really doesn't matter yet. Attack in. Let's go ahead and I'll play that. More flying. We could sacrifice this to make a humongous unit with flying. So it doesn't really matter. We can go ahead and attack into there. Attack in with both of these. Oh, I'm gonna put the expensive one, yep, because it doesn't have plunder and because it costs us more to put it back out. Go ahead and drop this. I know we can use it for plunder eventually, but we have a lot of cards in hand that we could play, so. Okay, we'll keep this one. Let's clear this. Let's give him, yeah, let's give him the option. It's not 100% great. We will give this a little bit of a boost though, so that's fine. And then, I don't want to do. I don't want to do the second paladin yet. There we go. 4 in there is really nice. Sure, we'll Defiance that. I'm gonna go face. Good game. Alright. Alright, so we're almost there. We go. 4 more battles and we are gonna get the big prize. So we're up against the Army of Justice. This seems like a keeper. Duh, we got a lot of influence here. Double seats. So you'll notice we didn't actually choose seats, but it shuffles them in with your other sigils, depending on your 2-faction combination. And in Forge, you'll always have 2 factions. No blocks. We're gonna go with the Solemn Clergy. We're sitting at 3, about to go to 4. We might actually need the Unbreakable Tradition. In turn, we'll double block to kill the 3/2. Golly. It's a big unit. You know, I think I'm just gonna make a giant flyer. Yep. Got him on a pretty nice clock here now. Got him on 5-turn clock. If we draw a sigil, probably should. Well, if we did plunder, we would have plundered away the Unbreakable Tradition. Okay. At this point, yeah, we'll go ahead and plunder away the, we don't want the Defiance. Ah, crap. We got rid of the Levitate. We probably should use the Levitate first, but hey. Swing in. We got that Exalted action, so that's going to boost our damage a little bit more. We just got another flyer, that'll boost our damage. As long as they don't start interacting with our flyers, we're good to go. Unbreakable Tradition's going to be really gnarly. Let's go block here. We'll give that to this little unit here, even though we could double. We probably should have waited, because that would have given us an extra amount of doubling. It would have been a 7, so it would have went at 14, 15 versus 13. Anyways, it didn't help our clock, and it also kind of mitigated our cards' power levels. There we go. And as you go through Forge, it'll get more and more difficult each time you rank up. See, I think this is silver right here. It looks silver. Thought I wasn't ranked in anything yet. That doesn't matter. But like then it'll turn to gold ranking if you're in silver. Then it'll turn on and on and on. It'll get more and more difficult. I thought this was like a username for a second. I was like, whoa, what happened? Oh yeah, and that's another thing. If you'll notice in Expedition and Throne, you have a different mulligan. In this, you say I keep the hand, or I completely just get another hand and have to keep it. And other ones you get a third mulligan option where you can go down to 6 cards, which is pretty good to have an option for. So we'll go with the Patroller, and we really don't need a 5-drop this early, so we'll get rid of it for now. We've had Mantle of Justice every single game, it feels like. That's pretty awesome, because this deck is very Justice heavy, and that card is very strong in a Justice heavy deck. And we'll just swing in. We'll swing in wildly. Trade with their pretty mediocre 1/1. No, we don't want to block that. Oh. Yeah, I misplayed. It looks like I misplayed now. We got Detain. And now a block. We'll use Detain to kill that 4/1. Man, I guess we won't. We want to use this to actually save a unit. But I mean, in an emergency, we can use it as like a gain 4 life spell against their 4/1, you know? Prevent that damage. That's not what we want to do, but we are willing to do that. Let's go ahead and drop down Drall's Frostkin. We'll freeze up this bad boy. too. So they won't have that blocker. So they'll block. That's comforting. I know that they'll do that. So we'll go ahead, swing in with that. I could have detained it. I didn't even think about it. I clicked too quick. And that would have prevented my unit from dying. Next turn we can swing in for a 10 damage attack, but we are getting up. I guess we can't. Dang, I got a bunch of removal. Well, they are stone scars, so. Let's go ahead and lightning strike this. Promising Pupil's pretty promising. So we'll end turn. Now we're gonna use Detain, in theory. Yep. Because that'll give us our. So let's block and then. There we go. I think that was the correct order. So we'll get our mastery. And we got Warcry. Okay. It did not deal damage. Let's get that extra +1/+1. Just put on this because this is gonna die. Well, it wouldn't have if I put the mantle on it, but it doesn't have double damage anymore because it's just a shade. It's merely a shadow of its former self. We did get that Warcry trigger, so at this point it could matter. Oh, detonate? Detonate's pretty jank, honestly. It's similar. It's not as bad, but it's pretty bad. Like there's that 3 cost, or I think it's 3 cost, gain 5 life, and that's all it does. Do not remember the name of the spell. Detonate's kind of like that. It just doesn't do anything. Also, you can't run it because it's a. You can see the little gem missing. Means it's only non-player characters or card generated. In this case, the non-player characters can use that card. So we got a lot. We've definitely progressed in damage now. I'll save this to Blender. They'll fight chump block my 7/7. There we go. Oh, we could have plundered that and drew a card, but we won anyways. There's 5 Forge games. Got one more left. One more, yeah. Holy macaroni. Now that's what I was talking about. Gold is better than silver. Alright, I got super lucky. So you do get a booster pack. You do get a premium random card. It can be a common, it can be uncommon. I think I've seen one rare the entire time I've been playing in here. You can get the rare premium cards other places, but they do also show up in gold, diamond packs. Excellent, excellent. So that was 5 games. We got 2 games left. Did I? No, we just played 4 games. This game was from yesterday, or last video. A week back, or a couple days. Okay, ancient excavations. So we're probably fighting sentinels and explorers. I don't like this hand. It's not terrible, it's just not good. This is a lot more reasonable. 2 units, a small curve. Yeah, there we go. Start with the Seat of Order. Oh, I should have saved it for this surge. That's okay. That's okay. What's this doing? That's a good card for them. Like, that's a good limited card in this kind of format. The scouts, it's slow, but man, late game it's gonna have an effect. Let's get this double damager down. The double's good if we have another effect. Not quite sure how Unbreakable Tradition works with buff spells. I've never actually tried that out. We'll save. I know Levitate and Detain look kind of jank, And they are pretty jank. But you want to save them for a situation that, like, you really need a card off the top for in Levitate's case, or you can actually win a combat or save a unit with them, so you can keep attacking. Yeah, I should have saved that seat. Do I want to attack into their Yeti? What does their Yeti do? Gets +1. So if they keep hitting me, it gets +1 every time. We want to attack with Detain up, so that if they do block, we can kill their unit without repercussion. Or Unbreakable Tradition. That card's really good. This is good too, but it's slow speed. We want to use Rebel Rouser when the way is clear, so we can get that double damage bonus. Let's go ahead and detain this. Go in for the kill there. And honestly, let's draw off the top to see if we got playables. Nope. That's okay. Could have gotten us some. Well, that could have been a good combination with Rebel Rouser, but it's alright. Okay, so this would be a 2-4 with Double Strike. Not quite enough. This is fine, they'll block, and then we'll double this up. Get a little bit of primal. So that actually works really well with this, because now that's a 5-5 on death. So they just drew 2 cards off of that charter. Family charter. And let's go ahead and boost this. We'll wait for a plunder on that. So we got at least 6 damage going through. Yeah, we'll wait for a plunder on that. Right, that in a hurry. They have a lot of cards in hand, so Purify Silence so we don't get a shade. This one do? A 1-2 flyer if they got a sentinel gets +1/+1. I'll just attack right there. Drop my exalted unit. And we're still waiting for a plunder. We'll probably plunder our way a sigil so that we can draw some cards with the treasure trove it gives. What's that gonna kill? Alright. So once again, we want to spread out our power here. We don't want to block that. We got a 4-3 flyer there. That's pretty nasty. Pretty nasty. You know, I think I'll go ahead and just plunder this away, draw a card. What just happened? Oh, I played the sigil. Oh, I turned it into a sigil. I didn't turn it into a treasure trove. See? Look at there. I'm making mistakes. Dang it. Dang it. This will be good, though. Sack that. Kill this. End the game. Unless they have a fast spell. They don't. Alright, so let's get on to the last battle one more time. One more time. Yeah, I definitely am liking this build. We got pretty lucky in that forge. We got some good, strong Huru cards. I don't draft Huru a lot. Combre Alliance. Okay. This hand isn't the best, but we do have a plunder, and it's within, like, playable rate. Start with the seat. So Solemn Clergy can come out real quick. And we'll get rid of the broadsword. Actually, I think the Unbreakable Tradition's less likely to be used. It's really strong when it's strong. Like when it's playable and does something, it's really strong. But it's pretty niche. You have to have a good board setup. It's a little bit of a win more card. But sometimes you need a little bit of win more to actually get there and secure your win earlier. Win more cards just kind of accelerate your victory if you're already in a position to win. They're just like, you know, overpriced aggro. And they can be good. They can be good. Usually you don't want to aggro out late game. You don't want to even get to late game and aggro. But if it happens, it happens. And then the win more cards are actually pretty decent. So let's swing in one. I guess we could detain to kill it if they do decide to block. We could keep our relic weapon here. Let's do that. You can see where our influence is messing with us because we can't play this taunt patrol. We are willing to break this relic weapon because it can't do anything here, and this will still be in really good condition afterwards. Let's just get in with a little bit of damage. What was left of that relic weapon? I know we used the detain to save it, but after they played that, it no longer became worth it, so we had to pivot. In this case, we'll just swing in and kill that thing, push for damage. We're gonna hold up a Justice Sigil. We should have played the darn sword. Why did I misplay like that? I guess now it's a surprise, but it doesn't matter. I mean, we're going up against AI. Alright. So, Combrade isn't doing too much yet. Ooh. Now, 3-3 though. We are in a position to play the Taunt Patrol. I'll turn that into Sigil. Why not? Hey. Trade with that. And swing in with my 1-1. I'm kind of pinging them this round. Now we're literally about to be pinging them with the Taunt Patrol. Never mind. Scratch that idea. Also, I don't think that this is good enough. It's close. It's close. It's close to runnable. So I'm going to draw a card. Turn that into a draw spell. Swing out, and then we're going to play our unit. We'll worry about drawing cards next turn when we have our power refreshed. Swinging in for 5. Ooh, that's a good card. Let's see what we draw first. Okay, let's do that now. And let's test out our A space hotkey. Master, when we get Warcry, I knew it. So just for the record, this entire time I've gotten Warcry on that promising pupil. Not very promising if you ask me. I'm not mad at Warcry, but I mean unblockable. Pretty good. Double damage. I won anyway, so I don't need it, but hey, good games. That was fun. I really appreciate you watching. Hold out for a second. We're going to, of course, discuss the prizes we got for actually winning the Forge, and we're going to jump into some booster pack openings. Alrighty. Ooh, so see this? This is a special type of booster because when you rank up, you get extra rewards, which is bonus gold. Really nice. So here's your normal gold packs, and then crank this open. 1,000 gold double booster packs. Telemarketers. And yes, see, it is tringed gold. Alright, so that was the prizes. Let's open up booster packs. So this video is going to go a bit long, but we get to explore the different booster packs in the game. Like, I don't have every single one, but there's a bunch of one-ups. And then we'll open up some Argent Depths. You know what I think I'm going to do? I'm going to open up 1, 2, 3, 4, 6 booster packs. Yeah, 6 booster packs. That's what I've decided on. And then we'll have 12 Argent Depths packs left over after this. So, alright, so we're going to go through an exploration of all these different sets. Alright, so we'll just open that up. Let's start with the uncommons to talk about, though. But Teriak's Hatching, this card has been impressive over time. It has had some moments where it was very, very strong, especially in draft. Like, this card kicks butt in draft. I'm pretty sure it's not an expedition currently. I might be wrong on that. Actually, I think I am wrong on that. It's had varying power levels. Dinosaurs has tried to be a thing a couple times. There has been moments where a dinosaur deck has come together. Shimmer Pack's kind of like that. A bunch of smaller units. A little bit of dinosaur synergy doesn't hurt. Um, I think Shimmer Pack could really be on its way back if dinosaurs got really good, because they could have some synergy. I'm pretty sure Shimmer Pack's a dinosaur. It could be an illusion though. Oh my gosh, we're gonna look that up right. We gotta finish the booster pack, and then before we get into the next pack, we'll look up what the heck a Shimmer Pack is. I've never actually played a Shimmer Pack deck, but I have faced them, and they're pretty interesting. Pyre Adept's a 2-cost 3/1. Not much to say there. It's aggressively statted. It can trade up, but it also can trade down. So usually it'll trade down because your opponent gets to pick blocks, and it's not a defensive unit. See, like a 1/3 is probably going to be better than a 3/1. But then at that point, you don't want to pay 2 for a 1/3 with no abilities. You'd rather have the 3/1 because damage is pretty good to finish and close out a game. And Acolyte, there's a bunch of these 3-cost units from the Empty Throne, one for each faction, that does something on summon. So they kind of give you an idea of where the faction sits. So the Emerald Acolyte gives you 3 armor. So it's got that little armor synergy. If you're doing an armory deck, it could be okay if you're building a draft armory deck. Awakened Student, man, this card is insanely powerful. Back when Empty Throne was the set, this was an intense card to go up against. 2-cost 2/2. Solid. Every time you play a power card, similar to Empower. No, man, now I'm blanking on the ability. There's Empower. Is it Surge? Yeah, I just played with Surge. Anyways, so Empower and Surge are very similar. This is a good time to explain it. But yeah, this card is real quick. If you get this out turn 2, the next turn you play a sigil, it's a 3/3 for 2. Boom. And then it has the potential to get so much bigger. There is a slight difference between Empower and Surge, though. Empower, it's a lot different the ways that you double Empower in a turn than it is double Surging. A double Surge, if you have a seat or a banner or any of those type of things, you can just double Surge in one turn like that. Just play it and you gain 2 influence. Boom, you're good. There's also spells that gain you influence. With this kind of thing, you get to do something like Secret Pages is a good example. You play your power for the turn, then you Secret Pages, and then you Empower again because it plays another sigil. Of course, that's another way to Surge as well. So Surge is a little bit more versatile, but if you play a colorless power, then it's not going to help you out for Surge. Dispel. So this card's kind of similar to Levitate, but there's a couple things off. One, silence is better than giving a creature flying until end turn in a lot of situations, because there's some gnarly creatures out there with some crazy abilities. But for 3, it's not better. This sees less play because of that. And you might want one of in your draft deck, maybe, because silence is good. The drawing the card replacing itself is pretty decent, just like Levitate, but it's a slow spell. If this was a this is an OP card. Not this card, but the card I'm about to describe. If this was a 1-cost, fast spell, silence unit draw card, it would be leaps and bounds better than Levitate. But that is totally overpowered. They do have 1-cost silence spells, as you saw silence in that game. It's 1 cost. So there's more powerful versions of that. Just not quite Dispel for 1. Even Dispel for 2 now, I think wouldn't be too broken, but it would apply tension on the meta. Vanilla stats would be more of the thing to do in an expedition meta where there's a 2-cost Dispel. But I don't know. I don't think it's that big of a deal. Lightning Strike is a very good card. Not quite biting winds, but it costs one less. So it's kind of like the opposite problem that we had with the spell and Levitate. Um, the 2 damage really does make a humongous difference, and they're both fast spells. But they're not really like they're only fast spells. You have to do it on an attacking unit, kind of like the Justice spell, Defiance. Sabotage. The enemy player discards a spell or attachment of your choice from their hand. This card is interesting. I haven't played with it a lot. I've seen it included in some like found decks, some tricky slow found decks with lots of removal. It's kind of like removal, but you're saving your opponent on their power. And at the same time, you're saving yourself on the power, and you get the choice of, like, they don't get their summon effect. They don't get their synergy. They don't get none of that. But it's not a unit. So it's not going to have a summon effect. Attachment might, but it's just, it's very specific. If you have a card that your deck can't handle, you can get rid of that card. But it's kind of niche. I don't really like it in draft. I know I'm talking about draft a lot. We played a Forge, so a lot of the things you can take from Forge, you can apply in draft, just so you know. So in a way, I'm talking about Forge too, because you have less cards, but it's a very similar concept. There's a couple of specific details that are different, but Silverwing Familiars, 3-cost 1/1 flying Aegis lifesteal. That's a pile of abilities. It's pretty great. It's pretty great. So if you can attach, you just saw Mantle of Justice, how awesome that is. Imagine a Mantle of Justice on a Silverwing Familiar. It's insanity. Great card for holding weapons. Even if you can just give it a what is the Crown Watch Longsword. It's a 2-cost 2/2 weapon. Easy peasy. Okay. Chemical Blast. This in draft or Forge, it can be all right. 2 damage is nice. 2 damage is decent. It's doing something. You know, it's not too terrible. You can remove something. And the nice thing about it being a fast spell, well, I mean, you can do the same thing with slow spells, but you can do it in reaction or in conjunction with an attacking creature, like after damage, in your next step, like at your post-combat space of time, you can deal 2 more damage to finish off a unit. The nice thing about being a fast spell is if they play a combat trick on one of their units, you can just kill it before the combat trick resolves. So boom, it's out of there. It's similar to Char, but triple the cost and not in fire. We're gonna go over here to some more uncommons. Excavate. Woo! Excavate. This card used to be a lot different. A lot different. I couldn't even tell you what the original card was like. Now it doesn't see a lot of play, but man, it was sure was an interesting card. Now it's pretty simple. It's a 1-cost Voidbound spell. So Voidbound just kind of means it can't leave the void. Yeah, it says right there. This card can't leave the void. That makes it so you can't excavate your excavate to excavate again. That prevents excavation chains and other stuff like that. So what it says is put in like infinite combos, you know. It says put a card from your void on top of your deck. So let's say you harsh ruled. You can excavate your harsh rule, you put it back on top of your deck. Oh, and yeah, you gain 2 life, so that's nice. So then next turn you'll draw that harsh rule. Or any other card. It could be anything. It could be Silverwing Familiar, for all we know. But harsh rule is a pretty good example because it kind of combos well with excavate. Any spell, any card. If you have a creature like a predatory Carnosaur, you can use it with that. That's in time, and killer something else. But yeah, it's definitely not as good as it used to be. I never see Excavate in play, but mainly that's because I don't play Throne, and I'm pretty darn sure it's not Expedition. I doubt it'll see any Expedition play for a long time. They might do a rework on it. That's a thing. Let's talk about Sky Crag Wyvark. 5 cost 3/3 flying killer. This is a solid card in Draft and Forge. Um, Even just a Huru fledgling, the Justice version of this, that's a 5 cost 3/3. It's okay. It's playable. Holds weapons. Sorry about that. Holds weapons really well. This holds tricks pretty well if you can play it. The next turn have a trick, then play the trick on it, and then use its killer. Or you could double play in one turn, where you play this for 5 and then have a 1 cost trick like Finest Hour, then swing it for 6. So let's just pick off some really small flyers that are gonna end up blocking it on the next turn. So it's pretty awesome. It's a small but dominating little card there. It's fun card. And the last card in the pack is Recano Artisan. So Recano Artisan used to be actually weaker. It used to be a 2/1. I think it was different before that too. I think it's been changed a couple times, but it's a 2 cost 2/1 in Recano. When you summon it, each weapon in your deck gets +1/+1. It's pretty good. Doesn't seem like much, but when you really get down to it, it can get crazy. Because your Char Chain Flails, your what the heck is I'm trying to think of other weapons. You know, Cornwelch Longsword, even if you're drafting, you know, your weapons, man. All of your weapons get a +1/+1. And this can keep happening. You can keep playing Recano Artisans, and they get bigger and bigger, so that like even a 1/1 weapon can become something amazing. I think there's like Fire Axe. I don't want to say the wrong name of the weapon, but you know what I mean. Yeah. Okay, let's move on to the next pack. It's been a while since I opened up a pack of well, it hasn't been that long, but yeah, Empty Throne. It's been a while since I played with some of these cards. Alright, so we're going to open in Fall of Argenport. Boom. Just open that up so you can look at that while we're going through the cards if you want to. Welding Torch. So this is interesting. I remember when Spellcraft came out, I was like, what is going on? And then I was like, ooh, I like this. And now I'm just kind of like, what could we do without Spellcraft? Spellcraft's interesting and fun and a great part of Eternal. I hope they bring it back at some point again. Because it'll be very interesting to play with. That's fun. Can tend to be pretty ridiculously powerful, because you can be paying like a changey stick, for example. Still, like they had to nerf that card like crazy because of draft. That was one of the I think one of the first times they had to nerf something for draft. It was just like if you could get changey stick, you could have like a 7/0 deck just basing around that. But I mean, there's a lot of cards like that, but not at the Okay, anyways, this is not changey stick. This is Welding Torch. So how Spellcraft works is this is a 4 cost 3/2 weapon. Nothing to write home about. But if you pay that extra 3, you also get to play a torch. So 7 cost 3/2 weapon that deals 3 damage to a unit or player on summon. Or a 4 cost 3/2 weapon. So the versatility is kind of like one of the nice things about Spellcraft. It's pretty bad on the 4 cost 3/2 weapon, but if you're drafting and you touch this to a flyer, that's amazing. That's great. If you could also take out a flyer at the same time, that just became a nasty card. Lunging Wisp. I think recently with not Argent Depths. Am I going crazy? When they had the Zenin Ambush was Argent Depths. I want to open up a pack of Argent Depths just to see. I'm getting the last 2 sets muddled together. It's confusing my brain. But okay, so Ambush more recently has been a little bit more prominent. They had kind of an Ambush Matters theme. Like, okay, if you play a unit, or if you play a spell on your opponent's turn, this happens. So that's synergy with Ambush, Roland's Enforcer, that sort of thing. This is a 1 cost 1/2 that you can play when your opponent attacks. And if your opponent's attacking with a weapon, if you play Lunging Wisp, that weapon will automatically have to be redirected to attacking the Lunging Wisp. So, fun stuff. It's odd. It's not especially great. The 1 cost 1/2. I'm sure there's going to be a spot for it eventually, but I feel like I might be saying that for a long time. I think it's been okay in the ambush synergy deck. Left Right Blade Whirl. I really underestimated these when they were out, and now looking back, I really like. Set up real quick. Now I really like Left Right Blade Whirl. It's not super good, like not the specific one, but there's a couple of different units that do this kind of effect, giving your other units a bonus as long as you keep this unit. A 5/2 for 5 is really bad stats, but when you get to a 5/2 that gives something else +3, like a flyer, it's delicate, but it can push damage so fast in certain situations that it can be worth it. It's kind of hard to use though. Portent Reader. It's a 2-cost 1/1 flyer, and you can discard a card to create and draw Second Sight. So Second Sight draws you 2 cards, and then you can put a card from your hand on top of your deck. Let's think about this for a second. So I remember these. Yeah, they draw you specific spells by discarding. So what's happening here? You get a 2-cost 1/1, and it's flying, so that's okay. It's fine. But the sub effect lets you just turn a card in your hand essentially into Second Sight. Second Sight's kind of an odd card in its own. You're drawing 2 cards, and then you're putting a card from your hand on top of your deck. It was pretty great with Static Bolt. So, I mean, that card, and there's several reasons to run Second Sight. It's not quite strategized, you know what I mean? But it's okay. So this card is kind of a little mind bender. This is not a card I ran a lot when I was drafting Fall of Argenport, but looking back, it's a card I probably could have gotten a lot better use out of, you know? Rambot. So this is very unique. It's one of the cooler looking Grenadin too. Like, this thing's awesome. It's a 1-cost 1/1. That's fine. And if you can get it in, kind of like Yeti Spy to some extent, it does have an infiltrate effect. It's one of those small infiltrators. If you get it in early, the top unit of your deck gets 4 attack. Then you sacrifice Rambot. When this came out, I was up on this card, and then I realized it's a 1-cost 1/1. It's not that good. Now I still don't think it's very good anymore. If you can give it like some type of evasion, kind of like Yeti Spy, it could be nice. The +4 attack, if you get it on like a 1/1 flyer, that's nasty. But it's easy to remove. That's the thing. If you get it on a 1/4 flyer, that's pretty darn good. Light them up like it's dynamite. All right, 1-cost fire. Your units get +1. It's half of rally at a third of the cost. But it's really not super good because you're spending a whole card on it. And you really, if you're going to be playing your 1 of rally, you want it to be +2 because that's really a huge difference because it's depending on how many units you have. So it's a lot easier to get a bunch of damage in with 3 units if you got a rally over light them up. Still, this card's okay. It's not much of a combat trick. That +1 doesn't really matter. It's more of a on-block combat trick because if you have a bunch of little tiny things, you can kill one big unit with less units. But I don't think it's super good. Trick Shot. This card is very odd. Also, the art is insane. He's bouncing a bullet off of the gutter, shooting behind him basically, like going like this. Shot a gutter and broke a bottle that was flying through the air. Interesting art. 2 costs giving one of your... Okay, so there's no stat bonus on this combat trick. So it's not that good. It's got potential though, because it gives one of your units Overwhelm and Quick Draw this turn. If this card said give one of your units Overwhelm and Quick Draw, That's a cool card. But it wouldn't be one trick shot. It would be like trick shooter, you know? Um, so I'm not super high on this card. I can see where it's good. It can finish off the game, but you would rather have Rampage. Even the quick shot's just not good enough. If your unit's gonna be good in a position where this would make you win the game, it would just be better to have another card, or another unit to secure that, or a real removal spell. This is a versatile card. It's just not that good, in my opinion. Spear Diver. I don't think I've ever seen this card. I'm sure I have, but man, this is an odd one. This is pretty bad. It's a 6-cost 2/5 Flying Berserk. Flying Berserk, okay, good stuff. But it's cost 6. You don't want your 6-cost card to win you the game pretty darn often. You want it to be able to finish the game out for you. Now that's set dependent. If all the 6 drops, the 5 drops, and the 7 drops, 5, 6, 7 drops are weak, then this is still kind of runnable. You don't really want to. You kind of want to just go for aggression in that format. If there's not very powerful heavy drops. But anyways, this is the fact that it has Berserk is okay, but it gets reckless after you Berserk. So you get 4 damage in. That feels good, for a turn, and then you're pinging for 2 after that slowly. And then you need to put more investment in this because you have to attach a weapon to it. I'm not sold. I don't even remember this card, so it's pretty bad. There's situations where having any flyer is good, but at the same time, it's just not really worth it if you can find any other 6-drop. Even an Enraged Arachnodon, I'd say, is probably better. You're paying 1 more, but you're getting a whole heck of a lot more stats. Even though it's on the ground, this is just, you can't really... Okay, so the Spear Diver... The Spear Diver is almost as survivable as the Enraged Arachnodon. Neither of them are too particularly fantastic. The Enraged Arachnodon's okay. It's one of the better primal... It's actually one of the better primal cards, actually. Especially big drops. It's really well statted. So I take that back. Enraged Arachnodon's okay. We've got good old Mistress of Light, giving you some Wisp synergy. 5 cost 3/5. Your Wisps have +1/+1, and if you play this on a turn that a unit went to your void, your Wisps have an additional +1/+1 permanently. That's not a summon effect. I'm pretty sure it's not a summon effect. I'm pretty sure it just will say your Wisps have +2/+2. I'd have to check that. The problem with this is constructed. Dang it. This is a constructed card. Sorry about the alarm. It's a constructed card. Because you're not going to get a lot of Wisps in draft. So, okay. So that puts us at. No, I didn't have too much to say about Mistress of Light. I remember this card came out. I don't remember when a lot of these cards came out, except for Spear Diver, honestly. But it was, and Wisps didn't really take off at that point. Radiant Wisps decks, I've only seen it happen once in Zenin, and it was pretty good for a minute. But it needs some more, a little bit more push, I would say. Yeah. Abduct. Not super fond of this art. This is a pretty creepy card. The enemy player discards a unit of your choice from their hand, and then you steal it and put it into your void. Shadow's about all kinds of evil stuff, so seems like something Shadow would do. Shadow goes everywhere from dark magic and monsters in the forest, all the way to crimes and murder and abduction. So it can be pretty awful. But this card, I've seen it played a little bit. I don't think it's super good in draft. The steal it and put it in your void aspect only matters if you're doing recursion. So guy looks way too happy to be abducting people. Like, look at that. I don't understand. Anyways, Barricade. This card is really odd. It has extreme synergy with the Kira. I don't remember what Kira's other part of her name is. Like Kira Prodigy. The Prodigy? First Prodigy? Anyways, Kira, the original Kira. If you play this while Kira's blocking, she becomes a 10-10 permanently. That's a good 2-card combo if you ask me. But you have to have those 2 specific cards for that to happen. Kira's good with combat tricks in general. I'll show Kira after this pack real quick. I was going to look up another card. I can't remember. But I'll look up Kira. Shimmer Pack and Kira. I'll look up those real quick, and then we'll jump back into the packs. Just to kind of get an idea what those cards are that I'm talking about. But other than that, this card's great on block, but it's kind of weird. It's not super good. It's like a kill spell. That it's similar to a very conditional lightning strike, but man, that +8/+8 can matter. Yeah. Similar lightning strike, a little bit worse. Okay, so let's go find Kira. I think it's first Prodigy, and then Shimmer Pack's just Shimmer Pack. There's 2 Kiras. I'm talking about the original Kira. I think Yoda Bite. I don't want to jinx myself by misquoting, but it's Kira the Prodigy. But I wish it said. Well, I mean, it doesn't say who. Like it doesn't say artist or designer. That would be interesting if we could know a little bit more of like how the card was created and who made it. But you can look up on. Let me look it up on the Wikipedia. I know I'm doing a bunch of like side stuff right now. But let's look up Kira the Prodigy. Bear with me. Kira the Prodigy, because one thing I actually talked on Reddit about it for a little while is finding out what content creators designed it. So you can find. So she's got a couple of voiceovers too. Hit me and I bite back. When you summon, she said, or when you attack. When you attack, she says, "I adapt." And then when she dies, she says, "Not fast enough." So Kira was the first community design card. I'm reading this off of the Eternal card game wiki, just so you know I'm quoting directly from there. Quote, Kira was the first community design card created by Eternal streamer Yodabyte in collaboration with Direwolf Digital through the Design a Card program. Yodabyte purchased the Design a Card community store item only a couple months after the community store launched. So I just thought that was interesting enough to pull up real quick. Excellent card design. Did Kira get a buff? I think she did. I think she was a 2/2. Yeah, now she got that little, buff. So that's pretty awesome. Let's look at Paul's Shimmer Pack. I see Shimmer Pack got a buff too, if I remember right. It doesn't look like it got a buff. It looks like it got a couple nerfs, honestly. I don't know what it was. But it's 8 cost 4/4. And you get to transform any number of units into copies of Shimmer Pack. So it is a dinosaur illusion. Okay. I was like, is it a dinosaur or is it an illusion? Well, it's both. So it's an interesting card. I'm not going to recommend you craft it unless you have a specific deck in mind that you want to try out. And I would start out by crafting one, putting it in your market, having a couple market spells, because you can get some really cheap market spells if you want to test out a deck like that. It's a little bit clunkier, but not too much more than just having 8 costs shoved into your deck. So that's one of the nice things. If you have a set of a market card, if you're playing Throne, or you have some of the like other market cards that are like the more recent market cards, etchings I think they're called, for Expedition, then let's go ahead, let's find one. Yes, the etchings. Yeah, and they're in Argent Depths. So if you have the etchings, those can be a ways to, if you want to test out some legendaries before you go ahead and craft your playset. It can be very, very nice. Let's get back to these booster packs now. Sorry for the side tangent. Something interesting popped into my brain. I had to share it. Defiance. Defiance is an interesting set. Defiance was in the set. Okay, we'll get to that. This is a set I did not play too much with. I played more with Defiance than I did with Dark Frontiers, though. And then Echoes of Eternity and Argent Depths I've been playing a lot more. Well, Echoes of Eternity I played a lot with. Argent Depths I haven't been playing as much of. I played a lot of Echoes. Echoes was awesome. Not that Argent Depths isn't. Argent Depths is a fun set, too. It's just... it's a difficult draft format for me. 3 cost 3 1. The Quick Draw Pledge. I love this card. Pledge is amazing. Pledge is phenomenal-tastic. Okay? I like that ability. It's just great. It's very similar to Plunge. Or not Plunge. Plunder. What is Plunge? Plunder. So 3-1 Quick Draw, you know, that's pretty decent stats. It's fine. Quick Draw really makes this card runnable. But the Pledge makes this card fun to run in the sun. So basically Pledges, if you have it in your opening hand, you could turn it into a Fire Sigil. But after that, it's just a 3 cost 3-1 with Quick Draw. So this one in particular is a very, like, I want to play just Defiance right now. Like, this is just Fire and Defiance is awesome. Then we got Fledgling Ivysaur. As you can see, Primal did not get the love that Fire got. Just look at the first 2 cards. It's 3 cost 1/2 Fly Gauges. Of note, and it has Renowned, you also gain an Aegis. Of note, this is really similar to the 3 cost 1/1. Why can't I remember card names today? This little bird dude. This little tiny bird. Is a 1/1 flying lifesteal Aegis for 3. This is that without the lifesteal. So when this first came out, I was like, heck yeah, this is awesome. Just it's hard to get weapons in Primal. It's a lot easier in Justice. So plus the face Aegis is not as good as lifesteal, but the extra health actually is pretty decent. This is a good little flying blocker. I feel like that what is that darn bird's name? Anyways, I feel like this is better, would be better in Constructed, but it's not super great. Not super great. Then in Draft, because you can set it up to where you have weapons. Oni Forge Master. Renown was an interesting mechanic here. It does something the first time you play a spell or weapon directly on it. So you equip it with, you know, bear arms over there. Or if you play Finest Hour on it, then this gets you a heavy axe. I was saying fiery axe earlier. I meant heavy axe. It's 1 cost 2/1. So it creates and draws a 2/1 weapon if you play a spell on it, which is nice because then you can play, if you have 2 Oni Forge Masters, you can play the heavy axe on the other one, get another heavy axe, and then equip that to another renowned creature. It's a pretty fun card. It's a little fiddly. You need to have the amount of spells and weapons. You need to have the amount of spells and weapons to make this effective. A 2 cost 2/2 is fine though. It's perfectly playable. The renown is just icing on the cake. Frost Talisman. So, 1 second. So Frost Talisman is... Alright. No more distractions. I have coffee now. Where the heck were we? Fledgling Ivysaur. Now we're on Frost Talisman. Yes. Okay. Interesting card. It's a relic. I remember, like... No more distractions, I said. Damn it. I don't want to edit this out. This is going to be part of this. Okay. Another telemarketer. But I have coffee still. Alright, so that was like 15 seconds of nothing there for a minute there. So please, I hope you're still with me. Frost Talisman, you pay 7 to draw a card, and when you summon it, you get a stun enemy unit. All that is okay. If you're at 7 and you're top decking, it's okay. Only problem is you're paying 7 to draw a card. You're not actually playing that card. So then you have to wait the next turn to actually play it, unless it's a really small card, and it's not what you want to be drawing anyways. You want to draw a finisher. You could draw Levitate, and then you get another card, and then you also get a flying unit through. That's a thing. It's okay. I mean, you don't want more than one. If you have relic synergy, that's fine. That's okay. It's not super special, but it's very interesting. I remember, I was about to go on a tangent. When this came out, it was kind of like, what can we do with relics? What can relics be? And this was a really fascinating version of a relic when this first came out. I remember, like, these type where it had a summon effect, had a massive pay to do a small effect. It's an interesting concept for a relic. It's 2 costs, so I mean, you can't go too wrong. Be Gone. So this is a time spell, but it gains you Justice or Shadow Influence. There's a whole cycle of these, where they're the 3 faction combinations from Defiance. You get to put a unit into its owner's hand at slow speed. It's fixing, it's weapon removement from units, because when the weapons fall off when they go to their hand. So there's that, but it's nothing to write home about. It's fine. It's okay. Bear Arms. Okay, so it's a 2-cost Recano, so Fire Justice, 1/1 weapon. When you play a unit, Bear Arms gets +1/+1. So this is good in a deck where you have a bunch of tiny units. And in practice, this card's pretty good if you get it out early. It's kind of similar to a Warcry-ish effect because it's that constant increase. It actually kind of plays like Mantle of Justice played in our games, where it kept gaining power. But you have to play units. At 2 cost, it has so much potential. Also, does that not look like Owen Wilson? I'm serious. Like, it looks like a beefy Owen Wilson. I'm serious. Spitfire. So Spitfire is a 4-cost relic, and you can pay 4 to deal 1 damage to an enemy. So that means you can deal it to a unit or to your opponent's face. Can't hit sights though. That's pretty good. It's pretty expensive, actually, is a better way to put it. Not super fond of this one. It's okay. The situations where it's good, because you can do this twice in a turn. You can do this 3 times in a turn if you have 12 power. The problem is getting to 8 power to deal with the 2 health units. It's just not super worth it. If you had a Seer, you could do, that's 16 power worth of Spitfire right there for 2 power. It is a one-off, but hey, Spitfire is fine filler. And it's more of actually a market card than filler even, because your opponent's playing a bunch of tiny units or tiny flyers. You can ping them off with Spitfire and you can get a lot of value that way. Other than that, Spitfire is pretty niche. Eye for an Eye leaves the whole world blind. It's a 5-cost Shadow. You get to kill an exhausted enemy unit, and then you draw a unit from your void with a higher cost. So if you kill a 3-cost unit, you can draw a 4 or up cost unit. This is a pretty amazing card in draft, but there's a couple situational things on it. It's hard to use. It's really situational, that you're going to get both sides of the effect. But when you do, it's a lot of value. You got to kill an exhausted enemy unit. So it means they already had to have attacked / used that unit, or you have to stun that unit. Something like that has to be going on to where that unit's exhausted. They can't have endurance. And then you also have to have a unit with higher cost in your void to get the second half of the value than the unit you're killing. Usually going to be killing the highest possible unit cost that you can if they're the best unit. So let's, like, if it's turn 6, you might be trying to kill a 5 or 6 cost unit. Or if it's turn 10 sometimes in draft. You may or may not have a 7 cost or even a 6 cost in there to get. So, pretty situational, but it has some decent upside to a 5-cost skill spell. It's one of the better 5-cost skill spells, I would say. I like Death Strike, though. It's just, I think Death Strike's a 4-cost, fast speed. It's just straight up kill something, boom, fast speed, doesn't matter what kind of unit it is, it's just dead. This is a little bit harder to use than Death Strike. So here's a display. Displays are Time, Primal Shadow, and they are modular. That means there's 3 different modes on this card. It's also a fast spell. It says put an attacking enemy unit on the bottom of the enemy deck, or draw a relic from your deck, or give one of your units +2 attack and quick draw. So it can be a fast-hitting combat trick for a little bit of damage there. The extra damage, the only thing that even makes it close is the shadow. Primal, kinda, but not so much, and time, not really. Drawing a relic from your deck actually really fits these 3 factions super well. Because Fire and Justice are more about relic weapons than they are relics, even though they do have some relics in there. And Time doesn't have any relic weapons. I'm pretty sure 0 relic weapons in the entire faction. But I'm pretty sure that this can draw relic weapons. I'd have to test that out. I don't know how. I don't know that by now. But it says relic, so relic weapons are relics. I'd have to check on that one. Don't quote me on that. Let me know in the comments below if you've taken a relic weapon out of your deck with a display of knowledge. But and then the third one is putting or the first one. I'm going from the bottom to the top. Put an attacking enemy unit on the bottom of the enemy unit. That's hard to read. Put an attacking enemy unit on the bottom of the enemy deck. So that just gets rid of it. It's not able to be void recurred. You're not putting it in their hand. It's nothing. It's gone. It's the bottom of the deck. Boom. They have to search it up with like Celestial Omen or some crap like that, you know? So a lot of power in this card right here. We're gonna skip over Coastal Elite for a second. Resolute Monk. 2 cost 3/1. So compared to the Fireheart Recruit, we're already a little bit up on the rate, except this one does not have quick draw. It has Empower. So every time you play a power card, this gets +2/+2 and Overwhelm this turn. So this could be swinging in as a 5/3 some turns, and this is really an aggressive unit. The 2 cost 3/1's fine. The 5/3 out of 2 cost unit just for playing a power, that is amazing. This is a very resolute monk right here. Excellent card. Excellent card. Infused Guardians, a 5 cost 4/4. It's got endurance, it's got pledge, and it's got empower for a permanent +1/+1. This card, the pledge really saves this card. Makes it really playable, because if you don't need a 5 cost, you could just pitch it as a time sigil basically. And then you got your endurance, so it can't get stunned. You can attack willy-nilly without having to worry about your defense, because this will just block if it doesn't die in combat. And then the power makes you have a continuously growing threat even if you have bad top decks. So really a solid little finisher there for a low-end Praxis deck, I would say. And it could be decent for even a Combray aggro deck. Really good in draft, I would say. This would be a card you'd be looking to pick up. Now let's go to Coastal Elite, our rare. So Coastal Elite's a 3 Justice 3/2, and it's a Minotaur. Your weapons that can be played on units are fast. That's an interesting card, because Crown Watch Longsword just became +2/+2 fast spell, permanent +2/+2. Yeah, it's and I know it's kind of weird wording. I wish they had a different term, like maybe like infantry weapon or a hand weapon. I don't know, unit weapon even. That would be pretty fascinating. But then a unit weapon, you'd think it's a unit you can attack with, which is already I'm sure they thought about it and tried to figure out how to word that. Your weapons that can be played on units are fast. So that specification, if there's a longer card, it can be pretty wordy with that phrase, because it's your weapon. Yeah. Anyways, enough about that. It's a pretty cool card. Stats aren't super high. It's pretty delicate. Has a very interesting ability though. I've actually never played with Coastal Elite, I don't think. Alright, let's start on this side now. Omnivorous Avorlunk. It's got Killer. It's got Overwhelm, and it's a 3 cost time. That's pretty good. That's alright. Actually, you got it. I think it's better in draft. Definitely not super constructed viable, I would say. It's a dinosaur, so it's kind of a little ping for 3, and then if not, it could be kind of an aggressively statted delicate unit. Blood Nurse. This card's actually pretty fascinating. I think there's like a combo with Blood Nurse. I don't know. Do not recall what it is. But it's a 1 cost 1/1. Not sold yet. You can pay 2, pay 2 and twist Blood Nurse to play a 1/1 vampire bat with flying and lifesteal. So unless you've buffed Blood Nurse before you do the twist effect, or you have other cards out that reduce the bad effects of twist, then it's going to kill Blood Nurse. So she's definitely a twist synergy or a weapon like needing unit right here. So pretty fascinating card there. Making the little 1/1 flyers is similar. There's a Bat Matron or something like that. Vampire Bat Matron who's like a 1/4 that puts out bats every turn. This card's kind of reminiscent of her. Very interesting. I have to look that card up now. 3 cost 2/2. We got Coastal Blade Bear and Justice. If you've got any armor, this is a 5/5. So this is actually kind of nice. Hard to get armor, and the base stats are really bad. 3 cost 2/2 is not good. 5/5 for 3. That's a solid little pick there. It's kind of got a little bit of tension though. Because you don't want to attack with it because you want to keep your armor to keep the stats up. So it's a great blocker, I would say, as long as your opponent isn't playing fire or primal like flyers. Eviscerate. Now this 5 cost kill spell right here. Kill an enemy unit. And then the other half, there's some decks it matters in, but not too many. Oh, speaking of Kira the Prodigy right there. Onslaught. The enemy player, which Onslaught means it does something when played if you or any of your units have attacked this turn. The enemy player discards the top 5 cards of their deck. And I mean, that's okay if you have like some like, I don't know, Void, Stealing, or, you know, they have excavated, or you're trying to mill them, you know. It's kind of, Eviscerate's good though. Eviscerate is something you want to pick up in draft if you're light on kill spells. Okay, so this is 4 primal. Death from above. Give a unit flying and berserk this turn. It's kind of like Trick Shot in a way, but at slow speed. Flying and berserk can be a finisher, and this is, I would say, better than that 6 cost 2/5. But not by much. The reason it's better is because it costs less, and you can give it to a really well statted unit, like on the ground. But I mean, it's like a really overpriced Levitate with a little bit upside. And it loses the extra card you draw. So we're just gonna ride on to Yeti Instigator. 3 cost 3/3. It's a Yeti. I love that they have this. It's nice to have vanilla cards with a relevant unit type. So there's that. We got a 6 cost Outdraw. It's in fire. Deal 4 damage to enemy unit, and then if something attacked this turn, you get 4 power this turn. So we can make this essentially a limited 2 cost. You know, like, you have to have the 6, but it really only costs you 2 that turn if you have 6 power. But you also have to attack. So and you have to attack into something you're probably going to be shooting at, so it's an awkward card. The art's kind of sad. Some lady just got shot, I guess. Gruesome mercenaries killing each other. Anyways. Oh, right. Burden Bear Wisp. He's carrying a big old bottle. He's got a drinking problem. He's a 2-cost 1/3 Flying Wisp. There's something you can attack this turn. You can put one of your other units into your hand. I like the 2-cost 1/3 body. It's fine. You know, it's pinging. It's hard to kill. It's great at blocking other little tiny flyers, or even 2/2 flyers at that. There is some synergy in like some summon effects. There's what other? Now if you had like imbue, if you had imbue, that would be pretty decent. Like to have in a draft pack to have a burden bear wisp in the draft pack for imbue. So here we go. 5-cost 2/3. I like this card. Stone Scar Outfitter, and your other units have +1 attack. So it's like Barbarian Camp. I think that's what yeah, it's Barbarian Camp or Outpost, but I think it's Camp. But it's on a 2/3 body, and also you can play this as a shift 4. So you can instead just pay 4, and it comes in like face down essentially, or like it comes out shifted. Yeah, which means it can't attack, block, or be selected until they emerge. Now they can still die to a harsh rule, but the nice part about it is it's basically it's the same cost as a barbarian camp, and then eventually it'll come out and be a 2/3. Which at that point it's not really too big of a deal to have a 2/3. For some reason, I just like this card better than the Barbarian Camp, though. I don't know why. In practice, I played this card more than the Barbarian Camp. I don't know if it's better, though. It's definitely interesting. Fun card. Maybe I'm rating Barbarian Camp too low. And then that, like, I don't know. Dynamancy Enthusiast. Man, he is enthusiastic about dinosaur magic. We got a 1-cost 1/1. You can pay 3 and twist Dynamancy Enthusiast, which, as the Blood Nurse, will kill him unless other circumstances occur, to transform another unit into a 4/2 dinosaur with Reckless. So it can be your opponent's unit. So if they've got like a big old bad Surso, you're like, I'm going to transform your Surso into a 4/2 dinosaur. It's pretty powerful still, but it's reckless, so you can just block it with the 2/2 after that and kind of get rid of it. But then you're spending a couple resources. But I mean, if you can get rid of Surso, get rid of Surso, especially if you're playing Primal and you're just kind of like, what do I do? You know, Dynamancy Enthusiast. This is a kind of a niche card right here. I think Blood Nurse is even better, because you're really just playing 3 for a 1/1 flying lifesteal, versus this thing you're paying 4 and you're transforming another unit into to make a 4/2. Ooh, that's not a good rate. And it's not much of a removal spell, because you get rid of a well-statted unit, you turn it into a okay statted unit, it could probably attack in. If you have a 1/5 and then another card's giving you trouble, this has actually got some synergy with that. Wretched Talon. So it's a 5-cost Shadow 3/3 relic weapon. Onslaught means if something attacked this turn, you or your units, you get a 1/1 Deadly Spider. Okay, the Direfang Spider to be specific. The spider's good. The spider's solid, and the weapon's okay. So this is actually a pretty versatile, nice little card. If you can get a kill with the Wretched Talon, that makes this card really good. Yeah. It's expensive Direfang Spider, but with 3/3 relic weapon attached, it's pretty nice. All right, and then Kira. We already actually talked about Kira in this pack opening. So when Kira gets attack, health, or battle skills for the turn, she keeps them. Not too much to say about that, except for, man, you can get some awesome combos off with Kira. Great card, great card. Fantastic and fun. Echoes. What? Got another Kato right there. Ooh, gotta get that Kato. Alright, let's check out these cards real quick. This will be faster because this is a more recent set. Platinum Kieran's a 2-cost 1/2 flyer. Okay. If you hit it twice, you get that Eternity Core. When this first came out, I was not fond of this card. Now, like looking back, this is great. I mean, sometimes you'll pay 2 for a 1/3 flyer, and it won't do anything. This actually really ramps you in an effective way. It gives you a relic for relic synergies. It's pretty darn spicy. And I mean, if you can throw a weapon on there, throw a weapon on there. It's a good blocker for little humbugs. So yeah, all around, I like this card. I like this card. uh, that was a movie reference. I think it's Lorax. The Lorax. I love this guy. You know. Anyways, uh, don't copyright infringe me for referencing a movie. I'm just kidding. All right, I got off topic. Exalta Exile, 3-cost 2/2. It's got Aegis, it's got Endurance, and I do not like this card very much. 3-cost 2/2s, like I was saying, man, this is just not good enough. Aegis is okay, so you could throw a weapon on there. Endurance. The thing about this card is with the right combination of cards, this card can get really annoying. It doesn't take too much to push us over the edge, but with nothing, it's just so bad. Rune Marker, 4-cost 2/4. If you deal 4 damage with this thing, your units with flying get killer. I have never gotten a Rune Marker to work, I don't think. I think it's kind of just a really hard to get that synergy with this non-flying unit on flying units. Because flying units tend to be small. Giving them killer doesn't make them too much better. It can be nice. Like there's the Wave Arc that's a 3/3 with killer, and it's okay. There's some situations where it's really good. But I don't think Rune Marker makes it, you know? Assault Shield. I try to play with this a little bit towards the later part of the format, and it's okay. It's fine. It's just not the best. It's a little bit middle grade card. Like you gotta have a good board state. I'm not gonna call it Widmore. I'm not gonna call it Widmore. It's just kind of like really situational, is what I would say, more than being a Widmore card. Because you gotta have an okay situation. It's not like impossible to create situation. You just have to have 3 units for this to be fine. Then you have to have a unit you want to kill. So that's fine. Precision Plunge. A lot of people really liked this card. I, for one, did not. Give one of your I think I used that. That's the first time I've used that expression, I think. And I think I might have butchered it. I, for one, did not. But it doesn't matter. Give one of your units flying. No. That'd be cool. Give one of your See, I'm going nuts. So these packs, I'm trying to read all these different things. It's melting in my brain. Give one of your flying units deadly and killer. I think it's in a similar like boat as a Rune Marker, because it's just not really the kind of card that I want in a flying deck personally. A lot of people love it though. A lot of people get a heck of a lot of use of Precision Plunge. They're like, oh yeah, I need my 1 Precision Plunge. I'm like, I don't want one. I don't need one. I just can't use the card correctly. But it's just my personal opinion. Now, Tokens of Menace, I think I was a little higher on than a lot of people. The problem with Token of Menace is you only get one of those 3 power types. In this case, Fire, Primal, or Shadow, and it comes into play depleted. I think these got better over time in the format. There's just, in this format, there was so much fixing that was a lot better. I think they overshadowed the tokens. So I hope they do come back with the tokens. I think they were good. I just think they were overshadowed. Spore Spitter. Man, I thought this card was amazing when it first came out. I was like, oh my gosh. Somebody played against me and had their little mill combo going on. They got it off. Sitting there getting hit with unblockable lifesteal. You feel hopeless. The problem with this card is it's pretty hard to get that 10 void cards in until way late game. Then it gets pretty gnarly. So 6-cost 4/4 Pledge. That's the saving grace here. Lifesteal and unblockable while the enemy player has 10 or more cards in their void. That's what I'm saying. It's okay. Pack Conjuring. Now, I was pretty high on this card. Pardon me. It was not good for me when I played it early meta in Echoes. I got a little bit higher on it. I think it's a mediocre to fair card. Give a unit plus attack and minus health equal to the highest attack among units in your void. So for example, let's say you've got a Zolta Exile in your graveyard. That's the only unit you have. And you have a Platinum Curin on the field. You can give your Platinum Curin +2, -2, which would kill it. Or say your opponent's got a Platinum Curin too. You can kill their Platinum Curin because it gives them -2 health. If you have a bigger unit, you can get that little plus. So this is very dependent on which units that have been killed this game. You could kind of engineer your deck to make it so there's less scenarios where you're kind of like totally like annihilated by the Pack Conjuring. It doesn't really help. I think one of the better parts of this card is the fact that it invokes Shadow on the Decimate. Hard part about Decimate is you're losing the power when you play this. So you permanently lose a maximum power, but you do get to invoke, which means you get a random shadow spell, a random shadow unit, and a random shadow attachment, and you pick from one of those three to keep, and you get that card in your hand. So it ignores rarity because it's just an equal distribution. So you have a really high chance of getting a really powerful legendary rare in a draft with Pack Conjuring. So it's a really interesting card. But the other effects are just okay. I mean, I'm not saying I'd pass it up. I'd take it over Rude Barker. There we go. And then we're on to Shardbinder. This card's amazing. 2 cost 3, 2 Overwhelm. The first relic ability the first relic ability you spellcraft or activate each turn costs 3 less. So remember all those 7 cost abilities we were talking about, or even Spitfire to pay 4 to deal 1 damage to an enemy? Well, you could pay 1 to do it instead the first time you activate it. Also reduces your cost of your spellcrafts. The stats on this thing are fantastic, and it is a pushed uncommon in time. Solid card. Display of purpose. So this is another display. I think it's another cycle of display, actually. Yeah. This one is Justice Primal Shadow. So instead of time, we've got Justice here. This one says give one of your units +1/+1 and Exalted. So Exalted means when this unit dies, you get to put a weapon with the attack, health, and battle skills of the unit that died onto another unit. Okay, so +1/+1 and Exalted. Or deal 7 damage to an enemy unit played this turn. Okay, so that's kind of a special scenario there. You gotta have that 3 up, and then you don't get another chance to take it out. And then also you get an opportunity to steal an enemy relic with cost 3 or less. So stealing cards like that are already on the battlefield has a lot of value. That last ability is kind of very situational because there's not a lot of 3 or less cost relics you're super wanting. There's some that are really good, but there's some that's just not really that great. Plus you have to be running a relic and play it and all that kind of stuff. It's situational, more of a constructed ability. But the dealing 7 to an enemy unit, if you're late in the draft and your opponent's hoping to top deck a big old like 5/5 flyer, something crazy like that, you can just drop it off the board. It's out of here. Display of purpose. And then the +1/+1 Exalted is fun, but it's not. I think it's a little bit more situational because it's good to be able to attack in and surprise your opponent by getting a giant weapon on one of your other units. Overall, Display of Purpose is a very versatile. The abilities are all completely different. But it's a really solid card right here. Blade Crafter. This card saw a lot of play in Echoes of Eternity. Not Echoes of Opportunity. Echoes of Eternity. 4 cost 2, 2 fire. It's got summon, draw a weapon of your choice from your deck. This was used a lot to get the what is it? Not Sword of the Sky King. It's a little blade of. It's Justice Fire Time relic weapon. It's one of the time relic weapons are only when they are a dual faction. And how can I remember this weapon? I wish it was in the pack. But it's a giant sword. It's like it's humongous. I think it's like a 3/3, and then it doubles when you play it. So if you can boost it up in your void or in your hand and then play it, it doubles. So it just like is an enormous weapon. Or if you keep recurring it, so you draw this from your deck, and then when it dies, you can get another weapon if you pay the 6 from the Shade. Finally, Kato Arena also has corrupted, but in this case it's corrupted 2. We got a 2-cost 2/1. On summon, you get your little 0/1 Totemite. But wait, if you have 12 or more units in your void, you get an 8/8 Giant. Now presenting. That's right. So when it dies, you get that ability again. So if your Kato sticks around for a while, you know, you're pinging in, you're blocking a little bit, and then this Kato dies. Instead of getting a 0/1, maybe you've built up some units. Maybe your 0/1 Totemite died. Boom, 8/8 Giant. Very strong card. Very fun. I like Kato. Oh, the luck is for me today. Alrighty. So. Okay. So we got Solemn Clergy. We know about Solemn Clergy. We just played with Solemn Clergy. Overall, I think this card's okay. Ouch. I said, overall, I think this card's pretty effective. Pretty solid little card right here. The Summon Plunder's okay, you know, of course. It helps you fix the 1/1 body's the worst part about this card. And then you got your Entomb effect with the Silence. I don't even think we got the Silence off that game. But the problem is when you're playing against Forge opponents, sometimes they play a lot of vanilla cards, which means they don't have any abilities. So there's that. Overheating Minibot. This is a fun fire card. 2-cost 3/2 Reckless, so it has to keep attacking every single turn. But you can also, if you face a situation where your opponent has like a 3/3 or a 4/4 or something like that you can't attack into and get value or even trade, you could pay 2 and you could sacrifice the Overheating Minibot to get an extra 3 power this turn. So you can basically get a little bit of a power boost by net 1. It's not bad. I mean, it lets you get your stuff out earlier if you're about to lose your Overheating Minibot to a bad attack. So it's there. Or if your opponent has like a mastery ability and you don't want to attack into them and give them their mastery while losing your Overheating Minibot. Siphoner Paladin is a really excellent card. 3-cost Justice 1/5, and then on summon you can sacrifice another unit to get your 3/3 relic weapon, the Honored Blade, or you can give a +3/+3 to your current relic weapon instead, if you already have one. So this card is very, very popular, very, very fun to play. Interesting choice that it presents. Do I sacrifice? Do I keep my unit? A lot of time you're going to want the relic weapon if you can kill something with it and you've got the unit available. But a 1/5 body for 3 is not bad. Forget. Now this is kind of reminiscent of Silence, but we got the fast spell. I'm pretty sure Silence is a slow spell. Is it a slow spell? But this has got Revenge, so if you silence something, this will come back. So I'm not super fond of Forget, but I understand why it's in the format, to deal with ridiculously powerful cards with lots of abilities. Beseech the Throne, I'm very fond of this card. I was kind of iffy on it at first. I was kind of like, how is this going to work? 2-cost, draw a card, then plunder, what? But the plunder and the draw is really an effective way to fix your hand up a little bit. You know, you're having a rough time, you're missing power drops, you're missing your curve. Beseech the Throne's there to help. Solid card. Lurking Brute just gets better and better the more you can hit with it. 2-cost 2/2. When it hits the enemy player, Lurking Brute gets +1/+1. So, blow, 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 it's good. Where this card faces a huge glaring weakness is if you play this on like turn 7 or 8 and your opponent's got their board set, you got your board set, and you don't have a lot of like evasion combat tricks to give it, it's not going to do much. It's going to sit there and maybe block something. Maybe block a 3/3 chump block or something, like, you know. I mean, it could be okay chump blocker, but at that point, it's just not the best unit you could be top decking. Natural Order. I do not like this card very much. It's a 3-cost spell with Revenge, and give one of your units Killer. There is a card called Predatory Instinct, which does this for 1, but without Revenge. So, I mean, I like the flavor of the card because it's like this dinosaur thing. It just ate like some kind of herbivore, and then later on this giant alligator monster is coming out to eat that dinosaur. So It's a pretty cool flavor. I like the location. I can't say too much positive about this card though. I just think it's really slow. I mean, if you need a killer effect, it's got it, and then you'll randomly get another one later in the game with Revenge. Okay, now this card's awesome, awesome, awesome. 3 cost double justice, 3/4. You got your double fire to give it quick draw and your double primal to give it overwhelm. So if this isn't Recano, I think it's the best mode of this, because man, just a 3/4 with quick draw is pretty decent for 3. 3/4 body for 3 is good in general though. And the overwhelm's not bad if you can like get it a little bit stronger or give it a combat trick, that sort of thing. Reality Snap. Okay, so Reality Snap's got Revenge. Put 2 enemy units into the enemy player's hand. So I'm pretty sure you have to have both targets to play Reality Snap. I could be wrong. But this card's actually pretty dang nice right here. That's a huge swing. You can clear your opponent's board sometimes if they have a small board. Get rid of their best units, their ready units, to get in a huge push of damage. Break 2 weapons that your opponent's units are holding. This card is pretty effective. I've actually never, maybe like twice played this card. Very rarely have I actually played this card, but it's pretty darn solid. I like this card. I've heard a lot of good things about it too. Murky Tentacles. I have played with this card. It's a 5 cost 5/2 unblockable, and when you play a card with Destiny, you get to draw Murky Tentacles from your void. So it's got synergy with Revenge. Really solid little ability there. The unblockable 5/2 is the part that really just kicks butt. This is just an excellent card. You can deal so much damage so quickly. 5 attack on unblockable is insanity. So yeah, I think there's a card called Fellrock Infiltrator. It's like a 3 cost 1/1 unblockable. It's got nothing on Murky Tentacles. So we got a 5 cost Justice, a Justice 4/3 relic weapon, and one of your units dies, gain an armor. So this gets more and more. We've already played with this, remember today? We gain more and more armor the more of your units that dies. The ability does come up sometimes, but just having a 5 cost 4/3 weapon can be solid. And finally we have our legendary Angelica Praxis Infuser. Pay 1 and exhaust Angelica to give one of your units attack and health this turn equal to the highest cost among spells and weapons in your void. So very heavy time, a little bit of fire, actually a good bit of fire, fire, quadruple time. Stats on this lady right here are incredible. 3/8 is gravy. And then ability to pay 1, the only downside is the exhaust ability, or the exhaust cost, because you don't get to block with your cool 3/8 or attack in. But you do get to buff one of your own units if you've got some spells and stuff. You don't have to do that until you get a decently sized spell. You can help your flyer out, or you don't have too many flyers in fire. A little bit in time. So let's get 1 or 2 more packs of this. Pop this open. Alright, back to rares. So we got Smogwing Tinker, 6 cost quadruple Justice Flying. You get 4 armor on summon. This card, you're not going to want to pick it super early in a draft. It's okay in Mono Justice. If you're thinking about running a Mono Justice, try like 2 of them out. Because 6 is kind of hard to get to. Maybe, yeah, 2 should be plenty. Just to start out. And if you really need top end, then go ahead and run your playset if you have them. The only problem is if you're not Mono Justice, this thing can be really troublesome to cast. Really troublesome to cast. Okay, so now we're moving on to Flameheart Patroller. I've used this card a good bit. It's a kind of an odd card. It feels strange to play. It's a defensive fire card, which is kind of unique. But at the same time, that surge with the increase of attack can make it suddenly a very aggressive unit. So you can go from 2 cost 1/3, just play, just gain some influence through playing a sigil or a seat or something. This can go to a 3/3 or even a 5/3, and it's a 2 cost unit, so it's pretty crazy. Pretty powerful little unit. Very flavorful Sentinel too. I like that. Really effective in a kind of a it's good on blocks, like, which is crazy for fire. So if you're against another aggressive deck, like, you can really defend your early game with this. Unfortunately, not super fond of Nova Protector. It's definitely a great art, cool looking card. It's this one soldier fighting against a whole army of spear wielding. It could be, heck, it could be Todas, it could be soldiers, it could be, I don't know, it could be anything. It could be elves. But the Noble Protector is a 1-cost 1/2 entomb, gain 2 armor. So the temporary effect of armor isn't really enough to play a 1-cost 1/2 unit. You're going to play this in draft every once in a while if you need an early unit and you don't have a lot of early plays, because I mean it blocks decently, but there's better things you could be doing in Justice. Then we got Forget again. We already went over Forget. We got a 6-cost quadruple fire, kind of like the Smogwing Tinker, but for fire. And Armed and Dangerous, what it does is you get to play 2 3/3 weapons on 2 of your units. It's slow speed, which would be insane if it was fast speed. It's a really powerful effect. You have to have units though. So it's kind of it's like kind of like a finisher for an aggressive deck. It can be if you're going wide. I mean, or if you just have a couple of decent units with good battle skills. That's really what you want with this. You want stuff like Quick Draw, Overwhelm, Flying if you can get it in like Skycrag, but then you're gonna dip into another faction, so it's a little bit harder to play it. I don't play this a lot, but I can see the value in it. 4 cost 1/1. It's a double time. Blurhaze Worm has Imbue, so you can play it and you can exhaust or permanently stun a unit as long as you have Blurhaze Worm. And that unit gives its attack and health to the Blurhaze Worm. And then it's ultimate, so 1 time until this leaves the battlefield and comes back in some way. But 1 time, when you play a card on the enemy turn, you get to draw 2 cards. So that's really effective with ambush synergy, like I was talking about earlier, with a 1-cost 1/2 that has ambush. Works pretty darn good in a Zenith deck with Blurhaze Worm. Ambush in general. Fast spells. The problem with fast spells is in time there's not so many of them. It's a little harder to do. Like, I mean, we got Forget, but so you're gonna want to pair it within a faction, kind of get the best out of that. So Blurhaze Worm is a phenomenal card. Really one of the best cards, one of the best time commons from Argent Depths. I don't use it in the time deck I've built though. Maybe it requires a little bit of synergy to actually do anything though. That's the thing. Yeah. Spellbound Ursine. This is a 5-cost 3/3 Overwhelm. Once again, we have the Imbue ability. This is pretty solid in Primal because it's got Overwhelm already and it's got some decent stats, so it can make a pretty big gnarly unit. And even if it dies to removal, you still have your other unit. Crown Patroller, it's kind of the reverse stats of Nova Protector. In this case, it's pretty good. It's not like super great, but it can trade up sometimes. And there's not really anything it can trade down to, except for you know, like Grenadin Drone, the Grenadin it makes, you know. But it has Plunder, which we haven't talked. I don't think we talked too much. We haven't talked about Plunder this episode because I mean this is the second Argent Depth pack we've opened. Plunder lets you transform. Oh, we did use Plunder during the games. Plunder lets you transform treasure trove or a non-power card in your hand into a sigil of its yeah. Okay, anyways, let me restart over. Plunder, basically what it does is if you have a power, you can turn it into a treasure trove. And if you have anything that isn't a power, it turns into a power of that faction or a random faction if it's multiple factions. Prism Golem. This card is insanity. It's a 3-cost 7/7, and man, it turns into a 5/5 if you have any type of influence, and you want to play it in mono faction because this is a beast at 5/5. If you're in draft and you're really stuck on 3s, you can play it as a 3/3 for 3. And then sometimes if you're heavy into one faction, it'll be a 5/5, and you'll hold back that, like, one influence type until you can get a couple attacks off or trade off a Prism Golem. It can be a thing. Worldly Cleric is this is an effective card. Doesn't seem like much because it actually has a negative, but if it gets silenced, which you can't do with Forget, you have to have another way to silence it, or your opponent has to silence it on accident. If it's silenced, it's just a straight up 7/7, which is really cool. Worldly Cleric's a 3-cost 2/2, and you get health equal to your time influence. So I've been talking about 3-cost 2/2s. They're just not good stat wise, and the ability here just doesn't pull it out of that not super good bin. Art looks cool. It's a monk lady or a cleric doing some kind of healing magic. It's pretty awesome. Just not fond of the stats. Curtain Call. This is a very notorious card. Super strong. I don't know if it's gotten nerfed yet. I should know this. I think it was a 2-cost. Was it a 2-cost? That'd be insane. I have to look that up. I can't at this exact moment. I wish we could like right click and see if it's been nerfed, but I don't know. On the wiki. I'll check later if it's been nerfed. I love knowing that kind of stuff. Like if there's been another version of the cards. It's something that's fascinating about this game is how they can change it with and they give back to the player base when they change a card. They say you can uncraft it for free if you crafted this card. If it's from a campaign, they'll give you rewards back. It's pretty awesome how they deal with that. It also keeps the game fresh when there's stuff like cards changing, like oh man, you never see Inspire anymore. Then it gets, a buff, and you're like, wow, now you see Inspire everywhere. Noble Protector could suddenly become a 2/1. A 2/1 Noble Protector would be pretty great. Or if it was a 1/3 even, or gain 3 armor might make the difference, Or if there's a soldier deck, or if she became a paladin. I think it would be cool if she became a paladin. Then she might actually see some decent amount of play, because paladins are hungry for 1-drops, I would say. I think. I'd have to double check on the paladin deck. I haven't built paladins in a while. But anyways, what does Curtain Call do? 3-cost Shadow, fast spell, Revenge. Give 2 of your units +2 in lifesteal this turn, and if you've got quadruple time, your units can't be killed this turn. Insane effect. This is just crazy good Zenin right there. I don't know if it's good enough for Mono Shadow, but it's kind of close. You want to be running Zenin to run this, I would say. And finally, we got Vengeful Flight. It's a 5-cost triple primal. Revenge. Play a copy of one of your units without flying, then give them both flying. Okay, this card's hard to play. So you got the Revenge, you're going to get it again, but you have to have units that don't have flying to get this off. So, and you're in primal, so it's kind of like the reverse of how it normally is. Like, usually benefits, a lot of the cards have benefits for flying units, This actually requires you to have non-flying units, which is an interesting effect. It is kind of situational, but copying effects are pretty great on certain units, Like you could be copying a 8-cost card sometimes, or a 7-cost card. And that's a lot of value for 5, especially if you get it and the original flying. And this comes back and does it all over again to a different unit. And the last pack we're opening today. Ooh! Okay, so I'm going to start with the rare this time to spice things up. Just real quick before I do that, if you liked the video, go ahead and click that like button and subscribe. I really appreciate your time. I hope you really got some value out of this video and learned a little bit about some cards. And I hope you continue to play and enjoy Eternal and be part of the Eternal community. Thank you so much for watching. Rakano Silex. It is a double influence power. You got the fire, you got the justice, and it's depleted unless you already have fire, or justice. And if you have both, fire, justice, you get to create and draw a treasure trove. So really decent power right there. These are value. These are some of the best power we've seen. So keep that in mind. These are the powers to watch out for. Frostbite Elemental can't attack or block unless there's a stunned unit. This is very situational, but the stats are there. I mean, a 2 cost 4/5. If you got a stun deck, it can be nice. Just they can't block even. Kind of makes it a little bit difficult. Like if it could just attack and can't block, it could be interesting. It's a card with some issues. Imprison. So this is a 6 cost Shadow. The enemy player must choose and sacrifice 2 units. That could be pretty nasty if your opponent's got some good units out there. And in addition to that, you get double fire, double primal. Problem with this card is your opponent gets to choose which units they sacrifice. So they could sacrifice a Grenadin drone and the Grenadin it made. And that's 6 cost, just bloop, and then you gain some primal. You know? You got rid of some blockers. Maybe you can push for damage after that. But even in draft, it's a fast spell, so that's interesting. They're using fast spell unit creation. I don't know. It's weird. It's an odd card. It's not very good in my opinion overall, but it does pose an interesting question. Is it good? No. 1 cost 1/1. When you play another unit, it gets +1/+1 this turn. We got the Monk Nervator. And then Summon Plunder. So that's kind of the saving grace of this card, why you would ever use it as a Summon Plunder. Other abilities for like ambush stuff, killer stuff, charge stuff. It's got a lot of things that it helps, but it's just not super effective. I've not seen a deck that really pulls all that together. Emerald Crafter is one of my favorite cards in Argent Depths. Very fun to play with. Love the art style. It's so odd, but really, really fascinating art style. 4 cost Justice for a 3/3, and on Surge you get to make that Emerald Crafter's Entomb get +1/+1. What's the Entomb ability? We already know, but let's read it again. Let's play a 1/1 Emerald Incarnation. Surge, play a 2/2 Emerald Incarnation. Love it, love it. This is a great card. Very well designed, very fun, and pretty darn strong. Ancient Machinist. 2 cost 2/1. When you play a spell with cost 5 or more, transform Ancient Machinist into a Sentinel with attack and health equal to that spell's cost. So, you play a 5 cost spell, Ancient Machinist becomes a 5/5 Sentinel. It's kind of hard to pull that off, but it's an interesting card. Very odd. I like the design because it's just something really fascinating. It's pretty cool. We already talked about Overwhelming Minibot. We played with Valiant Leap. 2 costs Primal Revenge. Give one of your units flying and overwhelm this turn. And similarly to the quadruple time Curtain Call with the Shadow action, if you got Justice, that unit also gets +2/+2 this turn. So you can kind of do a little, levitate action, fly over, or you can block a flyer out of nowhere, or you can push overwhelm damage. This thing is nice. This is what Trick Shot wants to be. This is like Trick Shot, but instead of quick draw, it's flying. And just, if you have Justice, it also gets +2/+2 this turn. Hey, why not just give it Revenge? Do it again. Perfect card. Maybe you don't have your Justice yet. Do this, get a little bit of damage in. You Revenge, maybe get your Justice between then and now. Boom! Extra +2/+2. Very, very push card. Super strong. I'd say that's a card to watch out for in draft. If you're in Primal. Primal's hard. Primal's hard to get to in draft. But if you can pull it off, Valiant Leap's the way to get there, I would say. Seed of Creation. Kind of a notoriously bad card. It's similar style design to Valiant Leap. Get the 5 time. Fast spell. Draw a random power card and a non-power card from your deck. So you're drawing 2. One's going to be a random power, one's going to be a random non-power. And then if you have fire, the enemy takes 2 damage to their face. So maybe you can remove a weapon with this. You're kind of drawing 2 cards then in the deck. But for 5, it's clunky, it's slow, it's weird. And I'm not super fond of it personally. Frost. It's a 2 cost fast spell that has Revenge and stuns an enemy unit. Pretty simple stuff. Really synergizes with Frostbite Elemental, because you can stun an enemy, one of your enemies that are attacking, and then block your other with your surprise 4/5 that you got. So cool little thing there. Roland's Enforcer, a 5 cost 1/5 ambush. Whenever you play another card on the enemy turn, Roland's Enforcer gets +3 attack. So this looks like a 1/5, not super strong. Then it's a 4/5. You gotta have it in the ambush deck, but it is considered one of the more powerful ambushing synergy cards, I would say. I don't run it very often, to be honest, but I don't run the ambush deck very often, so that's why. Shatter. Okay, so it's coming together. Frost, Frostbite Elemental, and Shatter. Kill a stun enemy unit for 1 at fast speed. I just don't think this deck is all there. Maybe you could have a little lineup where you have, like, you know, a 2 of, 2 of, 2 of, or 2 of, 2 of, 1 of, or 3 of, 1 of, 1 of, you know, in your deck as a kind of little side splash there, in addition to your other sets of stuff. I just don't think they're powerful enough. That rhymed. Have a great day, and I really hope you enjoyed this video. I know it ran a little bit longer than usual because it had kind of a double thing going on. You had the end of the forge, you had the good old pack opening, so hopefully it was fun. I mean, I had a blast doing it, so take it easy.